Let me read to you a passage from the 5th chapter of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 33 to 39. It's the Gospel for Friday of the 22nd week in Ordinary Time. St. Luke writes, "They said to Jesus, 'John's disciples often fast and pray, and so do the disciples of the Pharisees, but yours go on eating and drinking.' Jesus answered, 'Can you make the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is still with them? But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. In those days they will fast.' He told them this parable. 'No one tears a patch from a new garment and sews it on an old one. If he does, he will have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the new wine will burst the skins, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, new wine must be poured into new wineskins. And no one after drinking old wine wants the new, for he says the old is better.'" That's from Luke chapter 5, verses 33 to 39. In it, our Lord refers to himself as the bridegroom. You know, there are many unique features of the Godhead as it is portrayed in the Judeo-Christian revelation. There are other features of it that are rarely seen in the religions of mankind. For instance, it is at the very least rare among the religions for there to be but one God. Almost always there are many. And that is to be expected, for man's experience is that numerous persons and forces are responsible for what happens. It is almost impossible to imagine but one person or force being the cause of everything that has happened or that exists. It is scarcely to be expected that one unseen deity, and only one, is responsible for the existence and course of all that is, be it seen or unseen. The task would be too great for one. Perhaps this is the most striking thing about revealed religion, that it is a religion of monotheism. Further, the God of whom it speaks is almighty. This too is difficult to imagine, especially for modern man, who is acutely aware of the laws of the universe which seem to be inexorable, especially as prayer often seems to be futile. But there is another striking feature of revealed religion, and it would be interesting to know whether it is actually unique. I am sure it is at least rare. I refer to God's own description of his relationship with his people. It is common for a tribe, a society, or a nation to have its particular gods. I am not sure that it is common in the law, the stories, the myths of those societies, that its gods especially choose them for their own. I suspect that they, the tribes or societies, gradually chose their gods. In the case of the God of Revelation, on his own initiative, he chose certain individuals, and through them he chose a people. His choice of them was an initiative of love. But consider how he described himself in relation to them. An important image of God, both in the Old Testament and in the New, was of a bridegroom. There is a great tenderness on the part of Yahweh towards his people, as it is expressed in some of the prophets. Especially in the prophet Hosea, God is husband to his people. His chosen people is his spouse. His insistence that they not worship other gods is cast in terms of a marriage bond and relationship. It is a question of marital fidelity. It could be argued that the name that God gave to Moses as being his own name has the connotation of bridegroom. I am, and as I am, I shall be there with them. Yahweh. No prophet of the Old Testament would dare to refer to himself as the people's bridegroom. This would surely be tantamount to suggesting that in some sense he shares in the status and life of God, whom at least some prophets, as I've mentioned, referred to as the bridegroom or husband. But Jesus Christ calmly does this very thing. At the query about his disciples not fasting and praying after the manner of the disciples of John and those of the Pharisees, Christ says, "Can you make the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is still with them? But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. In those days they will fast." Luke chapter 5, verse 33 to 39. Jesus Christ is the bridegroom, and he envisages his presence among them as being part of a wedding. In him, God the bridegroom has come for and begun the nuptials. There is to be a marriage and a great union of love established, a new life. His disciples are the guests, and it can scarcely be expected that anything other than rejoicing occur while he is still among them. It is also to be remembered that Yahweh God uses the image of bridegroom and husband not in reference to his relationship with individuals, but in respect to his relationship with his people. He is not husband to Moses, but his friend. He is husband to his chosen people. So too does Jesus Christ refer to himself as bridegroom in relation to his people, in the first instance, and not to individuals. At the Last Supper he tells his disciples that he does not call them servants but friends. He is not their bridegroom, but their friend. The religion of Jesus Christ is a religion of personal friendship with him who is the Son of God and our Redeemer. This friendship involves our share in his life, which is the life of grace. But when it is a question of the entire church, then the image of bridegroom is used of Christ, just as it is used of Yahweh God in the Old Testament in relation to his people. A Christian marriage shares in this relationship and is a sign of it. Further, Christian spirituality has extended the term to include the relationship between Christ and each member of the church. The point, though, is that Christ has come to unite to himself all the children of God who accept him in faith. Altogether, they are called to be in him as his new people. He is bridegroom to the church, his spouse. This is surely a special and remarkable feature of the Christian religion. It is yet another expression of the revelation that God is love in a way that far surpasses any doctrine of the other religions of mankind. The unseen heart of all reality is a limitless furnace of pure, holy, infinite, all-powerful love. There is love in the world, reaching sublime points at times. Well, it is especially this which reflects the heart and soul of the source of all reality. That heart and soul is the infinite, transcendent, immanent God. He has become man and is with us constantly as bridegroom. Let us live on the basis of faith in this stupendous revelation, the revelation of the love of God for each and all.